National Signing Day is an exciting time of year no matter what football program you cover. Fans from the East Coast to the West Coast, they start to tabulate these results in their head as they look at star ratings and the rankings of their program nationally. And when they see that signing class all come together on the first Wednesday of February, it's like their Christmas. They start to think about these 4-star recruits, these 5-star recruits, whatever they happen to be, and how they will impact the program over the next 4 and 5 seasons. Think about that though. That's quite a load to put on the shoulders of a couple of high school seniors. But no matter what the fans' expectations may be of these players, the players themselves think even more highly of what they can do once they translate their high school success to the collegiate football level. But it doesn't always play out that way. Just like it doesn't always play out when a player is drafted into the NFL strictly based on what they did in college. So think about a guy like Terrell Chestnut, a 4-star recruit out of Pottsgrove High School. He initially committed to the University of Pittsburgh before ultimately deciding to come to the other side of the backyard brawl, West Virginia University. He committed to the Mountaineers, ultimately signed in February of his senior year, and he started to have all these visions of what his entire career would look like once he arrived in Morgantown. But as he quickly found out, sometimes that dream, that fantasy, is not what the reality turns out to be.
When I signed here, I just wanted to come here and compete, and start right off the bat my freshman year, and have 4 successful seasons and go to the NFL.
That was Terrell Chestnut's idea of how his collegiate career would play out. He had high expectations for both himself and for the Mountaineers, but a recurring shoulder injury left over from high school reared its head again during camp. He lost his true freshman season before it even began.
You can go either one or 2 ways after you come off an injury. You can either, be that guy that's just going to be content with being at the back of the depth chart, or, work your way back up. And surgery is nothing compared to what I've been through in my life. And, I've been through many adverse situations, so it's just another challenge for me to overcome.
He played in the last 6 games of the following season, but in the first few plays of the Pinstripe Bowl, he suffered a torn ACL. He had to go back under the knife, another surgery. A 4-star recruit, that ideal scenario was fading more and more into the background as a stark reality took its place.
I didn't get to work with him until that fall, and he still wasn't 100%. He was probably maybe 8 months out from the surgery, but you saw the wisdom, you saw the know-how to get it done, but you just didn't know from an athletic standpoint.
His first full year working with Mitchell showed just how far Chestnut had come. He ran onto the field with the starting defense in the season opener against Alabama, a clear sign of the progress and what was possible with a clean bill of health.
These setbacks was probably the best thing that happened to me for my career. It humbled me, and I became more appreciative of the game and more grateful. Nobody wants to go through these things, but it helped mold me into the guy I am now. I take every play as it's my last, and understanding that it can be taken from you at any point.
As much work as he put in on the football field, Chestnut was equally focused on the student aspect of the student athlete. He graduated in 4 years, a goal he had set for himself to ensure that he would be able to begin graduate school before he wrapped up his playing career.
If I couldn't play football, then I'm going to be the best student I can be. Because when I graduated, it was the biggest the biggest milestone in my life. When I walked across the stage, in my eyes, that was me going to shake Roger Goodell's hand.
Now, Chestnut is in his final season. A senior, he has taken on a position of leadership that does not go unnoticed in the team meeting room.
One, he does everything with exceptional effort. I mean, it's phenomenal to go out and watch him play football. He's going to sacrifice. He's going to be knowledgeable about the scheme. He's not going to make mental mistakes, and he can go out there and finish and make plays.
Chestnut made headlines in the summer when he tweeted that he believes the Mountaineers can have the nation's best secondary. It's an idea that he still stands behind now that the games have begun.
To finally have this experience that we have, and to have the guys that molded into the men that we are now, through the trials and the rough times, it's hard not to have the confidence. After having a successful season last year, not as successful as we wanted to, but having the same guys back, having the same coaches back, having the same scheme, and a better understanding of the scheme, how can you not be confident?
Nearly 5 years after he signed with West Virginia, Chestnut's ideal scenario has been forced to change. Nothing about that change of plans has deterred him from setting his standards high, both individually and for the team.
To go out on top. win the Big 12, win the national championship. You have 12 guaranteed games, and how do you want to be remembered?
And on September 26th, when West Virginia plays Maryland here in Morgantown, Rick Pennypacker will be in attendance. That's Chestnut's high school coach at Potts Grove. Also a former Mountaineer football player from back in the 70s. He was along the offensive line, and he will be back in town to celebrate the 40th anniversary of that Peach Bowl team for the Mountaineers. He also says he'll be keeping an eye on Chestnut, and he says to anybody listening when Terrell Chestnut says that they'll have the best secondary in the nation, he says this kid, above anybody else he's ever worked with, if he says it, he truly believes it, and he'll do everything he can to prove it on the football field.